I want to show you. I really want to show you what black people are up against. Imam Bashir, he found out that I was giving this lecture. All right? Now I didn't want to say, let's say a Muslim. A Muslim found out that I was giving this lecture. You already know who, Imam Bashir, right? And the first thing he said was, you have to invite me there so I can refute everything he said. Yeah. All he knows is, whatever I'm going to say, he has to refute it. That is a religious mind. Like you said, you discovered Malcolm X through a Spike Lee Hollywood movie. You can't see me. I gotta leave it there. You can't see me. Alright, so the debate that I did the first time, that was as a favor. And I did that without a PowerPoint. Now I'm gonna have a PowerPoint. You should come. Imam Bashir should come. I highly recommend that you come and bring pen and paper, because a lot of learning needs to take place. There is a movement going on in what I call Black Islam. And Black Islam, you're really only gonna find Black Islam in America, okay? Amongst people who have some a current or former affiliation with the Nation of Islam. Now they may have evolved, or they may have diversified their affiliations, right? Imam Bashir being with the Ahmadiyya faith as opposed to the Nation of Islam, so on and so on. But at the end of the day, the Islam that I'm referring to is basically what I call Black Islam. So you're talking about African American Islam, all right? And the reason why I call it that is because its defenders, its only defenders, are African Americans. Okay? It's only defenders, the only defenders of an Islam based on Ma'at is an African American. The only champion of people, the only champion of a movement where people are trying to now reconnect Islam to ancient Egypt. These are American Africans. You're not gonna find any Muslims in Africa doing that, even if they're black. You're certainly not gonna find any Arab Muslims or Bangladeshi or Indian Muslims anywhere on the planet trying to reconnect Islam to ancient Egypt. This is why I think my Tuesday night lecture is going to be very important, is that I think people need to be shown for the, and I'm going to use the terms, I'm going to speak frankly. And I think my friends, being that we know we're talking about a particular subject matter and we're in the milieu of debate, if you will, then the language I use is not going to be friendly language, okay? So let me say this, that this particular group that I'm talking about, this Muslim group was trying to reconnect themselves to ancient Egypt and show that Islam came out of ancient Egypt and that it is somehow an inheritor of what ancient Egypt promulgated and what ancient Egypt created and what ancient Egypt brought about, and that there's somehow some direct connection, and that therefore that legitimizes Islam in the eyes of American Africans who are now looking to Egypt as the answer. I think that those so-called champions of that movement, I think that they're phonies. I think their scholarship is phony, and I don't need to read your book to know it's phony. If somebody comes to me and tells me that 2 + 2 is 11, I don't need for you to tell me, read my book and you'll see why I say that. Because I know you're a fool, period. So don't come to me and tell me I need to read your book, and then I'll understand why Islam, any kind of Islam, can be based on Ma'at, okay?
This is what you've all been waiting for. Shakka Ahmose, cracking the codes of Islam, Judeo-Christianity, the Muslims. There's no more time to duck and hide. E-Man Bashir. Bring your pen and paper if you're coming, brother. And if you are a Muslim, you would want to be in the building. So therefore, you can't say that the Muslims was not there. That's on you, brother and sisters. All right? Because I want to tell you right now that Shakka Ahmose, Tuesday, the 29th, he is not coming to play no games. Bring your books, bring your pens, bring your pads. This will be a PowerPoint presentation given by Shakka Ahmose. Make no mistake about it, brothers and sisters. Don't think for 1 minute that Polite brought the information and that's all you need. Brother Polite just scratched the surface on this one right here. Shakka Ahmose is gonna go deep to the root of Islam. So what I want to say to you, brothers and sisters, is come in peace, and we leave in peace. Peace and black power, family. Only on Sonetta TV. Peace and black power, family. Welcome to another Sonetta TV House of Consciousness production. It's going down Tuesday the 29th. Brother Shakka Ahmose will be cracking the codes of Islam. But before that, brothers and sisters, we have Brother Beasley, Smack URL. You know Brother Beasley from Smack URL. He will be in the building opening up, dealing with business first, because you know it's Money Making Tuesdays. So on Tuesday the 29th, Beasley will be in the building breaking down the importance of economics, building economics. All right? Please have your ass in the building because we always talking about we need solutions. Well, here you go. We are doing this. Me and Brother Sutek, we are doing this for the people. Have your ass in the building Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, to hear Michael Beasley. Smack URL. Y'all know the brother.
Peace and black power, family. Welcome to another Sonetta TV House of Consciousness production where we document our story live on video for the world to see. Before I ask my brother Shakka Ahmose this question, I want to first let the people know this Tuesday, July 29th, we have Michael Beasley, Smack URL. You know the debates. They will be in the building and they will be talking about the importance of economics and how to build our economics. Y'all know who Michael Beasley is from Smack DVD URL. I know you probably heard of Smack and all of them with the battles. But anyway, we got Smack and them. They're going to be in the building. My brother Shakka Ahmose, this is a blessing. The people is anxious to see you come back in the public, especially dealing with this topic. First, I want to ask you, brother, why is this important to deal with Islam? Is this the time now? Because you coming back into the full circle of dealing with this topic, Islam. Is this the time? Will there be a big rest in peace sign after this?
Right. First, I want to say Hotep to Sonetta TV and to the House of Consciousness. I want to say Hotep to the family and the community out there who are watching and who stay tuned. You all blow my mind. I cannot believe how many people watch the House of Consciousness. It is unbelievable. Your viewership has to be bigger than BET. Real talk. Your viewership got to be bigger than BET and Oxygen combined, or old channel, whatever Oprah call her channel, right? So Oxygen, whatever, yeah. Bottom line is black people are watching Sonetta TV all over the world. I'm getting messages literally from Kenya, from Rwanda, from London, from the Netherlands, from France, from Harlem, from Texas, from California, Las Vegas, from Jordan, from all over the world, wherever black people are, they are watching. Black people in the military are watching Sonetta TV on YouTube. I'm not talking about people who are watching it because they're working for the military. They're watching it because they're black, and what Sonetta is talking about relates to them. So when I tell you that those of you who hate on Sonetta, like them Sonetta shuffle clowns, right? Those of you who hate on Sonetta, keep hating, because that's what haters do best. They hate. Always remember that. And that goes for the same one of y'all that hate on me. Keep hating, because that's what you do best. Now, that said, because we don't want to give them too much sunshine. Absolutely. Okay? So, you asked me about Islam, and is it important because it appears that I've come full circle, and will there be a RIP on the subject matter? Let me just say this. The one thing I learned from Dr. Shakka Ahmose, the pharaoh of Egyptology, is that no subject is ever completely laid to rest. No subject. All right? I think certain aspects of any subject can certainly be laid to rest. 1,000%. And so I think that at this discussion, what's going to happen is that one thing I've learned through teaching over the years is that the value of a lesson can sometimes be made clear by the measure of the questions that people are asking. Meaning that if people are asking poor questions, the answer is, the most somebody on stage is going to do is give you an answer to your question. So, because the answer of the question is usually commensurate to the question asked. And so if you ask a poor question, you're going to get a poor answer. If you ask a mediocre question, you're going to get a mediocre answer. If you ask an awesome question, a great question, I think you're entitled to an awesome answer, a great answer. And so let me say this, that whatever it is that I divulge about Islam from my own perspective and from my own studies, I think at the very least what it should do is it should begin to cause us to ask much better questions than we've been asking. Questions that will prevent people from glossing over things and sliding over things very quickly in order to present their chosen religion as some idealistic thing. You understand what I'm saying? So that's important. It's very important that we ask much better questions. And the things that I'm going to be discussing Tuesday, hopefully, will engender you to ask questions that you never thought about asking. Because I'm of this position. First of all, let me say this. I think we both asked Michaela a question earlier that she didn't really answer because I don't think we were really going there or whatever. But let me just say this to you. At the end of the day, what black people need to understand about religion is this. Number one, religion has nothing whatsoever to do with believing in God. It has nothing to do with believing in God. Okay, be clear on that. Be crystal clear on that. There was belief in God before there was religion. So if we can agree on that, we don't even have to go any further with that. But also remember this, and this is the addendum to that. This is the additive to that. And that is, you have to remember, she raised something, Michaela raised something very important. She said that she asked, you said if you put her in a debate with someone else her age, what would be one of the topics she would like to discuss? And she said that the topic she would like to discuss is it fair to indoctrinate children into religion without them having, without their own complicity, without them being at a level where they can responsibly say, yes, this is what I want to do. Okay? Right. Now, let me just say this. The reason why that was such a great question or such a great topic is that it speaks to one thing it speaks to the fairness of a child's mind. And let me put it in these terms. What you have to accept is that religion, in many respects, is the language of the ignorant. Why do I say that? Why? Because it was devised to explain things that could not be explained. What we fail to understand now and what we fail to appreciate is that language is no longer viable because we now have answers to many of those questions. I never said we had all of the answers, but we now have answers to many of the questions that man has been asking since the beginning of time. We have a lot more answers than we did in the 15th century. AD or CE, Common Era. We have a lot more answers than we did in the 4th and 5th century CE of the Common Era. Okay, and so because of that, I think that it's time that we just accept that religion is an outdated linguistic mode. That's what you have to understand. It's an outdated linguistic mode because it presupposes answers that are not really answers, number one. You may accept them as answers, but that doesn't mean that they are in fact correct answers. They're just answers that you accept. You've been told to accept them, not even on the basis of evidence. In fact, the very mechanism with which you've been taught to accept answers is faith, which needs no evidence, requires no evidence, which means that you're living an evidence-free life. I don't want an evidence-free life. You know, let the evidence speak for itself, good, bad, and ugly. Okay? So, you know, that's, you know, I wanted to get that out there. Okay? So with respect to Islam, let me just say this. With respect to Islam, you know, there was a recent debate with Polite, and there was a recent debate with Polite and Dr. Ali Muhammad, and Brother Polite did an excellent job. He presented some great information, and however, I did mention to him after the debate that to take it further.
Say that again?
Well, right. I said now that part of Islam has been breached by Brother Polite via the last debate he did between himself and Dr. Ali Muhammad, I would like to now venture to take it further because there's more to be said on it. As I said, no subject can ever be completely laid to rest. When I'm done with saying what I have to say, someone will come behind me and hopefully add more to it because the things that I say may open doors for other researchers to open up and take it even further. Okay, so, you know, at the end of the day, each one of us is only given one lifetime in order to gather and then give. And so, yeah, so I'm going to be mentioning a lot of things that people have never heard before, that they've never seen before, because at the end of the day, what it comes down to is this, for me at least. What it comes down to is that it's not knowing the information that matters. You follow what I'm saying? Dr. Ali Muhammad has a lot of information in his head. Dr. Wesley Muhammad has a lot of information in his head. And other people who may not be Islamic, or even Imam Bashir, he has some information in his head. What I'm saying is that having the information is not enough. It is how you interpret that information that is very important. And that is going to be unique to each and every scholar, particularly when they are speaking from their own work. Yeah, sure.
You mentioned Dr. Wesley Muhammad, Dr. Ali Muhammad, and also Imam Bashir. Is this personal for you, or are you doing this for the people? Are you bringing this information for the people because it is so needed? I want you to deal with that first so that people can understand why you're really doing this.
Okay. Well, first of all, I think it's both. But when I say personal, I don't mean it in an antagonistic way. I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, and I don't mean it in a malevolent way or a malicious way. Why do I say that? Because Dr. Ali Muhammad is a personal friend of mine. Dr. Wesley Muhammad is a personal friend of mine, as well as is Imam Bashir. So as men and as my brothers, I love them. You understand what I'm saying? And I respect them as men. Does that mean that I respect their scholarship? Not necessarily so. And the reason that I say that, and now here's where it's going to get frank. Now here's where it's going to get very frank, okay? You said there was a question that you wanted to ask me earlier, or you're going to ask me that? Okay, all right, okay, cool. Let me say this. There is a movement going on in what I call Black Islam. And Black Islam, you're really only going to find Black Islam in America, okay? Amongst people who have some a current or former affiliation with the Nation of Islam. Now, they may have evolved or they may have diversified their affiliations, right? Imam Bashir being with the Ahmadiyya faith as opposed to the Nation of Islam, so on and so on. But at the end of the day, the Islam that I'm referring to is basically what I call black Islam. So you're talking about African American Islam, all right? And the reason why I call it that is because its defenders, its only defenders, are African Americans. Okay? It's only defenders. The only defenders of an Islam based on Ma'at is an African American. The only champion of people, the only champion of a movement where people are trying to now reconnect Islam to ancient Egypt. These are American Africans. You're not going to find any Muslims in Africa doing that, even if they're black. You're certainly not going to find any Arab Muslims or Bangladeshi or Indian Muslims anywhere on the planet trying to reconnect Islam to ancient Egypt. There's only one faction doing that, and that's the African American Muslim championship for that movement. Now, let me address that. And this is why I think my Tuesday night lecture is going to be very important, is that I think people need to be shown for the, and I'm going to be, I'm going to use the terms, I'm going to speak frankly. And I think my friends, being that we know we're talking about a particular subject matter and we're in the milieu of debate, if you will, then the language I use is not going to be friendly language, okay? So let me say this, that this particular group that I'm talking about, this Muslim group was trying to reconnect themselves to ancient Egypt and show that Islam came out of ancient Egypt and that it is somehow an inheritor of what ancient Egypt promulgated and what ancient Egypt created and what ancient Egypt brought about, and that there's somehow some direct connection, and that therefore that legitimizes Islam in the eyes of American Africans who are now looking to Egypt as the answer. I think that those so-called champions of that movement, I think that they're phonies. I think their scholarship is phony, and I don't need to read your book to know it's phony. If somebody comes to me and tells me that 2 + 2 is 11, I don't need for you to tell me, read my book and you'll see why I say that. Because I know you're a fool. Right. Period. So don't come to me and tell me I need to read your book, and then I understand why Islam, any kind of Islam, can be based on Ma'at. Okay? So, yeah, that's the beginning of that.
All right, beautiful, my brother. Let me ask you this question. Being that you did brought up the debate with Brother Polite and Dr. Ali Muhammad, many people in the audience at the Polite last debate on Islam said that a lot of what Brother Polite put up on the screen, they seen you put that out first. They seen that you was the first one in the community to mention the link between Islam and Syriac Christianity. Polite used that in his debate. How do you feel about that, my brother?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I don't know how long it took you to come up with that one, but that's an interesting question. Yes. Okay, let me say this. First and foremost, first I want to say A, and then I want to seal it with B. A, I was at the debate, number one. And when I was at the debate, more people than I can remember counting walked up to me and said that exact same thing. That, bro, we see that that's your work up there, and blah, blah, blah. Which, of course, made me feel good, because anybody wants to be recognized and for their hard work or whatever it is. But let me say, and I get it a lot in the street. I was in Times Square 2 nights ago, and someone walked up to me. I was eating a veggie burger. Guy stopped his car, walked up to me, talked about how much he loved the work and the interviews, and he saw the debate. But he said, but I was aware that you were the first one that was talking about the Syriac Christianity Islam connection and blah, blah, blah. So apparently people are watching the debates. I mean, they can count. 1 comes before 2, 3 comes before 4. So, but now that's A. That's A. I put A out there. Now let me put this out there with B. Is that number one, Polite didn't do anything underhanded. All right, first let me say this. Number one, he called me before the debate, and he said to me, I've mastered your work. These are his words out of his mouth. So it's not like he was trying to pull a carpet out from under my feet. It's not like he was trying to circumvent me or whatever. That's number one. I want people to be conscious of that. That when I say he's a person of integrity, he's a person of integrity. And people really, the more that you are going to get to see him, and the more that if you get the chance to interact with him personally, you're going to see that. He's a person of integrity. Number two, I need to write stuff down when I'm thinking because there's so much stuff going through my mind real fast. But yeah, thank you. Number two, so number one was he called me and he said to me, I mastered your work. Would you please come to the debate? He asked me to come to watch him present. So that's not somebody that's trying to do something behind my back. That's not somebody that's trying to pull a carpet off of me. That's somebody who was listening and paid attention and went to work. Oh, I remember what number two is. Number two, you have been after me since day one to give a complete breakdown of Islam from my perspective, from my unique perspective. And I've ducked, I've dodged, I've pirouetted, I've done everything I could to dodge that thing, but for reasons, for some of which are legitimate, which I can't really latch on to anymore. The main reason was because when you're getting all of these phone calls from people who love you saying, please don't do it, we don't want you to be a target, I can't live my life in fear. That's not who I am. I can't operate in fear. I understand that you love me and you're concerned about my welfare and this, that, and the other. That's fine. But the reality of it is that although I had every opportunity to present that information, I didn't. And so Polite, with his young warrior spirit, said, look, if you ain't going to present it, I'm going to present it. And that's what he did.
He did a good job.
And he did it. And hold on, that's the key, too. He did an excellent job. He didn't just do a good job. Somebody else would have did a good job. Polite did a top shelf job. And if you weren't at that debate, you missed history in the making. Okay? So, but I am glad, I'm proud and honored that my name is affiliated with the debate. I'm proud and honored that my name is affiliated with Polite because of the person of integrity he is. So the two things. One, he called me and told me that he had mastered my work and asked me to come and see him present. Two, I had every opportunity to present months, almost going on a year, and I didn't. So his young warrior spirit said, look, in fact, he kind of did to me, I never thought about this. He did to me what I did to him. The very first night that I got into it with Bashir on the street when you filmed it, it was because he was going that Polite, and Polite wouldn't debate him right there. And so I was like, look, if you ain't going to debate him, I'm going to debate him. And I jumped in. And ironically, in the end, he did the same thing to me. Look, Shakka, if you're not going to present the information, I'm going to present it. And I'm going to do a hella job. And he did. He did. Absolutely.
Being that you said Polite did an excellent job, and he did do a top shelf job, I still feel he just scratched the surface. For those out there who know you, I know you. You see what I'm saying? I know he just scratched the surface. He just pulled up the covers a little bit. Right. I know coming this Tuesday on the 29th, you're really going to go deep in depth. What are you going to bring to the people that's different from what our brother Polite brought? He put all of them in one bowl. The Moors, the Muslims, the 5%ers, the Nation of Islam. He put them all in one bowl and he killed them all with one stone. What are you going to bring, brother? What are you going to bring different from what our brother Polite brought? Because I know Polite really just scratched the surface. For those who know Brother Shakka Ahmose, I know you, brother. I see some of the work that you showed me. A lot of people don't really know the stuff that you're seeing. Right. What are you going to bring different from what our brother Polite brought in?
Okay, let me say this. He did more than scratch the surface. He gave what Polite did was he opened the window, or better yet, I kind of opened the window, but what Polite did was he acquainted people with what was behind the window. He really said, okay, Polite said, okay, Shakka opened the window, but now let me take you in the house and show you around. And he did that. And you couldn't have asked for anybody better to do that. Now, what I'm going to do, let me just say this. Number one, the fact of the matter is that I don't share my information with everybody. I don't do that because I've had to learn that you can't share everything with everybody. I've had to learn that. A lot of minds are not hardwired for rude awakenings. Even my own. Even my own. None of us are really hardwired for a rude awakening. That's why it's called a rude awakening. When you have a rude awakening, it's something that wakes your butt up, and you didn't see that coming. But, you know, hopefully, as my godmother always says, after the beating comes the blessing. But but if you can show up, you know what I'm saying? You got to be able to show up after that beating to get the blessing. So I don't always share all of my information with people. I did share some things with you that about Islam that I have absolutely factually not shared with anyone else. And without question, just by the measure of its own validity, it didn't need any help from me. You saw the power behind it. It speaks for its own self. So what I would tell people is that on Tuesday, do not come with any preconceived notions. But, I'm telling you right now, if I'm talking, you want to bring pencil and paper. Just take my word for it.
That way you can research.
Yeah, if I'm talking, you want to bring pencil and paper. Real fast. What I'm going to be talking about, that I don't know. I can't say Polite didn't talk about it. Number one, I didn't stay for the whole debate because once he threw the Syriac and the Christianity connection to Islam up there, I was like, he won. That's it. I don't need to be here. I just walked out. So, and then I got ambushed outside with a bunch of cameras, so I had to give interviews out there. But what Polite showed was that there was certainly a Judeo-Christian antecedent to Islam, that Islam has in many respects sought desperately to separate itself from. Okay? Rightfully so. I understand why Islam has done that. Rightfully so. I think what he didn't, I don't want to say what he failed to do because he didn't fail in anything, but what there was no room in the debate for him to do was to go into the details, plural, of how and why Islam at its essence is a Judeo-Christian creation.
You're going to go into detail.
Oh, I'm going into detail. Yes, absolutely.
Let me ask you, and that's why I said, brother, he only scratched the surface because he was dealing with so many different types of Islam. He couldn't stay focused on one. He wanted to cover all of them so he could leave no room for the Moors to come out, for the nation to come out, he wanted to cover and touch on all of them. You know what I'm saying? So he couldn't really go in depth of what you're going to do, brother. One thing I want to tell you for sure is that Polite is a student first. And this is what makes him a great teacher. In order to be a teacher, you got to be first a willing student.
Stop for a second. Hold on. You just said something about Polite, and I'm not trying to make this whole interview about Polite. This is my time, okay? But I have to say this. You said something about Polite that I got to see with my own two eyes. If you want to know what makes Polite different from many other scholars and thinkers, because he's a scholar, is that his first pride is not in being a great teacher. His first pride is in being a great student. That's where his heart and my heart connects. You understand what I'm saying? That's where his pride and joy is, being a great student, because you can never be a great teacher unless you're first a great student. First and foremost. And I got to see with my own eyes. When I was talking about Syriac Christianity and Islam, everybody else was, bam, 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 bam. I don't want to hear it. I said, okay, no problem. Polite was like, huh? Polite said, what'd you say?
That's right.
And he said, you ain't got to say it twice. Just say it one more time. And he said, that's all he need. Polite is like James Brown. He said, don't get it from me. He said, just open the door and I'll get it myself. Mm-hmm. Imagine if we had 1,000 Polites. Imagine if we had 1,000 Shakka Ahmoses or 1,000 Sonettas or 1,000 Michaelas just coming out of the world. But you know what, though? You know why I say imagine if we had 1,000? Because we actually have millions. We have millions. There are millions of Shakka Ahmoses out there. There are millions of Polites out there. There are millions of Sonettas, and there are millions of Michaelas that are unknown. The only difference is that we have the camera. But I promise you, we are going to bring them to you. Sonetta is going to... You better stay tuned to Sonetta TV because they lied to you. The revolutionaries got one thing wrong. They got one thing wrong. I'm going to tell you what it was wrong that they got. They said that the revolution will not be televised. it got YouTubeized. Okay? Because it's on Sonnet TV. You could bear witness to it. Why? Because the nature of our dialogue is not about Jay-Z and Beyonce fighting in the elevator, or whose trap is making most money, whatever. A trap is where you sell drugs, right? Yeah, so whose trap is making most money, what kind of car you driving, who's the best basketball player in the world, what the new Jordans are. We don't care about that. We are proud to say that our values are beyond that. Period. We are proud. We wear it like a badge. Our values are BG. Our values are beyond that, are beyond what our historical oppressors have prescribed for us. We're not taking that medication. And we are the majority. We're not the minority. If all you watching is white-controlled TV, then you're going to think it's some fools out there with their pants down near their knees doing all this crazy stuff, drugged out, and all this crazy stuff you see on the news of black people doing. You know, look, we all, even the good ones of us, have a monster inside of us because we're human. But what I'm saying is that those of us in the quote-unquote conscious community, we are the majority. All capital letters, we are the majority. There are more of us than there are of those assimilated, homogenized Negroes, period. Yeah.
Tuesday, July 29th, are you prepared to go in here to free the minds of your people? Are you prepared for the backlash? And what I mean by backlash, from the critics. Because, you know, when you're dealing with Islam, it's all right for us to shed the light and pull the skirt off of Christianity. It's all right for us to pull the skirt off of the Moors and hold on, let me finish. I'm gonna pass it to you. It's all right for us to pull the skirt off these other religions. But the minute we talk about Islam, I'm telling you, you got to be mentally prepared for the backlash. Imam Bashir, there's going to be 100 Imam Bashirs out there. The Muhammad's is going to come out and try to condemn you. And when I say you personally, they're going to start coming at you with slander. They're not going to deal with your information. But check this out. I want to say this first, and y'all going to hear me say this first on Sonnet TV. I guarantee you, my brother Shakka, that they're not going to dispute any of your information. They're going to come out and try to slander you personally, even though they don't even goddamn know you, but they're going to come out and try to slander you, because I see them doing it to my brother Polite. But they're not challenging his information. You see what I'm saying? They can't do that. Are you prepared for that, brother?
You know, look, if you want to swim, you got to get wet. Period. If you want to swim, you got to get wet. Let me just say this. This lecture that I'm giving is not about pulling the skirt off of Islam. It's not about stripping Islam naked. I think what makes me most frustrated about the subject matter is that if you really study Islam, and if you study the history of it, I'm talking about outside of the religious text, if you actually study the history of it, you will find that in many respects, Islam is not really lying about itself. It's not really trying to hide anything. The problem is how we have been taught to look at it. It's how we have been educated to look at it. So all I'm going to do is change your angle of vision so that when you see words like surah, when you hear words like imam, when you hear words like jihad, when you hear words like madras, deen, tawhid, when you hear all of these words that are basically the which is the foundational language, the foundational terminology, words like Muhammad and Allah, when you hear these words, which are the foundational terminology, which is the foundational terminology of Islam, what I want to do is I want to change your angle of vision so that when you look at Islam again and you're talking to a Muslim again, you don't have to look at them through the eyes of Hollywood. You don't have to look at them through the eyes of ABC News and Channel 4 News and Channel 2 News who want to paint them as some, paint a broad picture with a broad paintbrush to say that, look, the reality of it is there are some Muslims in this world who are doing very ugly things today. But guess what? There are some Jews in this world who are doing some even 1 billion times more uglier things. There are Christians who are doing 1 billion times more uglier things. There's only one nation that I know that dropped a nuclear weapon on other human beings. The atomic bomb, an atomic weapon, right? The hydrogen bomb. That was a quote-unquote so-called Christian nation that did that on other human beings. You didn't ask those Japanese what their religion was when you dropped that bomb on them. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, right? The greatest asset that governments have, all governments, the greatest asset that they have is making sure that the people that they rule have a short memory. So as long as your memory is short, it's business as usual. They can go on and maintain the status quo. The people who are the greatest threat to them are those who have a very long memory, and I'll tell you why. We are considered to be the greatest threat to that ruling establishment because there's an old axiom that says a historically conscious people are not easily oppressed. I'll say it again. This is an old axiom. I didn't make this up. A historically conscious people are not easily oppressed, which means that if you want people to actually begin to reach out for freedom, historicize them. That's why Malcolm said, what did Malcolm X say? He said, for all of you young people, because at least you know who Malcolm is. I know you don't know who Patrice Lumumba is. I know you don't know who Kwame Nkrumah is. I know you don't know who Stephen Biko is. And we can go on and on and on. And I know you don't know who Dedan Kamati is. But, and if I said Mau Mau to you, you would look at me and say, Mau Mau, what's, yeah. But at the end, what Malcolm said was, of all subjects, history is most qualified to reward all research. Don't even bother trying to top that statement with anything else because you can't. You're not qualified. So you have to understand that first.
Shakka, will you be bringing in a PowerPoint presentation?
Yes. Yes, I will be bringing in a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to get Brother Reggie to help me with it. I mean, not with the information. All the information that you're going to be getting is pure and distilled from my mind. And that's the way I prefer when I'm presenting. I don't like presenting other people's information. In fact, the research that you're going to see is going to be virtually 100% original research. It's not something you can read in the book. Why should the people come out to see this? Why should they come out to see this? Well, I would say this. If you enjoy ignorance and being in the dark about where Islam actually came from and who put it together and what were the circumstances, then don't come. If you want to watch it on YouTube, watch it on YouTube. You know, I don't know what will be edited in and what will be edited out.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what you might get and what you might not get because knowing me and the way I teach, I'm already going to tell you. Sanetta knows I'm very secretive. He knows that. And so I'm certainly going to make sure that some things will be only allowed for the people who attend. And then other things will be allowed to be shot and put on YouTube. So if you want the whole lecture, it's kind of like when I was talking to Islam about Sanetta and we turned off the camera because that wasn't for everybody. Well, it's going to be similar at the lecture. Everything is not going to be on YouTube. So you're going to want to come to the lecture if you want to get all of it. So that way you won't have to be asking me questions later, sending me questions on Facebook like all of y'all do. And you see I try to answer all of your questions. Yeah.
Will this be... Yeah, I think this might be a part 1 and 2. It got to be, because I know you got to deal with this. When you finish dealing with Islam,
yes,
because I seen comments on the other posts I put up where they said, well, why is Shakka starting with Islam? Is he going to deal with Christianity? Is he going to deal with Judeo? Are you going to come after that and deal with that as well, brother, Christianity?
Okay. First of all, I also want to say this, and I don't care what you say. I was going to put this on my own channel, but I'm giving it to Sanetta TV. Americans are cowards. And I can say this because I'm born and raised in America. I'm not some immigrant. I didn't come from someplace else. I'm born and raised in America. So it's like somebody in their own house can say what they want about their own house. So as an American, I can say Americans are cowards, and I'm going to tell you why. What's going on in Palestine right now with that Israeli campaign, what they're calling a ground invasion in order to seek out tunnels, that's what you call a pretext. I want to say something to people right now, if you'll let me. What I want people to begin to understand is that the greatest enemy right now in every country in the world, it's not the people of any particular country. It's all governments. If you think as an American that the people in the upper echelons of government look at themselves like you see yourself, or if you think that they see some kind of kinship or relationship with you, the average Joe on the street, then you don't understand what's really going on. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are gonna really shit on me for saying this. I really care about people shitting on me. In some measure, I didn't say it all, in some measure, the average white guy and the average black guy just walking in the street, they have more in common with each other than what's that black Negro's name on the Supreme Court? Clarence Thomas. Uncle Clarence Thomas, right? The average black guy in the street has more in common with the average white guy in the street than he does with the black Supreme Court Justice, Clarence Thomas. The average black guy in the street has more in common with the average white guy in the street than he does with Colin Powell or Barack Obama or even Michael Jordan. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times there are a lot of things that are actually classes that people interpret as racially, as racial, and that's a mistake. You don't want to make that mistake because then you're not seeing things for what they actually